You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
A fiery exchange between world leaders as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to the White House goes off the rails. The volatile meeting coming as U.S. support for Ukraine remains on shaky ground.
We're warm now and will be even warmer at times this weekend. We'll take you through Saturday and Sunday, first couple of days of March, before some storms loom for next week.
And thanks so much for joining us. I'm Daniel Marin. Jennifer has the day off. We're still following that breaking news. Austin confirmed its first measles case just hours ago. An unvaccinated infant, now the first case in the city since 2019. This comes after an outbreak in West Texas started ringing alarm bells for agencies across the state. Local health officials and leaders are urging the public to get vaccinated now before it spreads any further. KXAN's Mercedes Hernandez was there for the announcement. She joins us now from Austin Public Health. Mercedes, was this case connected to the Gaines County outbreak?
Good evening, Daniel. I can confidently say that no, this case is not related to that West Texas outbreak. The Austin Public Health District says that this infant caught the measles overseas while traveling there. Now, I did ask where the family was and why the child wasn't vaccinated, but APH's director couldn't speak to exactly where or why, just that the parents had not gotten the child vaccinated yet. But it is important to note that kids under 12 months old don't usually get that MMR, that measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine. But the APH does say that there's no exposure risk right now to anyone else from this case specifically. APH says the family members of the infant were all vaccinated. They are still raising concerns, though. That's because links to that West Texas outbreak happened nearby in San Antonio and San Marcos. A person with measles visited the Texas State campus there. It is important to note that a child from that outbreak did die this week. Austin Mayor Kirk Watson and APH Director Adrian Stirrup say the city's vaccination rates are lower than they want and urged families today to get particularly school-aged children vaccinated. Department of State Health Services data tracks vaccinations for kindergartners and 7th graders. Almost all 7th graders in Travis County have that MMR vaccine, but only 90% of kindergartners are vaccinated.
The time we've been preparing for is now here. We need to do what we need to do in order to keep this from spreading.
And Mayor Watson says that there will be a special push to get more children vaccinated in the coming weeks. He will declare a Vaccines for Children Day next month.
And Mercedes, with South by Southwest next week, did officials say anything about that?
They did. That's why they're really trying to get this messaging out about getting vaccinated while people still have the time to do so. That's because they don't want South by Southwest or spring break to turn into kind of super spreader events. Again, that's because these events bring people in from all over the globe. I did ask Director Stirrup about her concerns there. She says that her department and others with the city that kind of help festival organizers really get everything together have been talking about their protocols and working together. Here's what she had to say.
Festival organizers, and they're taking steps to make sure that the people that come here have the protection that they need before they get here, and so we're all working together.
And she was careful to stress over and over again at today's announcement that this is not an outbreak, this is one case. I did ask her what constitutes kind of an outbreak status. She says 3 or more cases all at once. We are not there yet. Again, city officials stress that these vaccines are safe and readily available all over the city. We have more resources on how to access those on our website on KXAN.com. Live at APH, Mercedes Hernandez, KXAN News.
All right, Mercedes, thank you very much. And going in depth, in 2019, a Washington State county, Clark County, dealt with a measles outbreak that saw 71 confirmed cases, more than 4,000 contacts traced, and 53 identified exposure sites. Now, like the current outbreak here in Texas, that outbreak infected mostly children. According to Science Direct, Clark County took significant measures to try and stop the spread by barring unvaccinated students, teachers, and staff from entering schools where cases were reported. At hospitals, security guards staked out entrances to screen visitors for symptoms of the virus. Now, beyond Washington, measles surfaced in 8 other states throughout the year, including New York, which saw more than 200 cases back in 2019. As for the current outbreak in Texas, out of the total 146 reported cases across the state, Gaines County in West Texas is seeing the highest number at 98 cases. Terry County is seeing the second most at 21 cases. Now, most of the cases are in children between the ages of 15 and 17 at 70 reported cases. Of all, I'm sorry, say that again? 5 and 17, between the ages of 5 and 17. Of all confirmed cases, 79 are unvaccinated people, 62 people are of unknown vaccination status, and only 5 are vaccinated. Well, now to that confrontation at the White House between Ukraine's President Zelensky and President Trump and Vice President Vance. A sit-down in front of cameras in the Oval Office devolved into shouting over one another. NBC's Julie Sirkin reports.
What began as a meeting to discuss a historic peace deal that could have ended the brutal war in Ukraine quickly spiraled into a standoff between President Trump, Ukrainian President Zelensky, and Vice President Vance.
You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
The tense exchange, unprecedented in the Oval Office, the room traditionally reserved for diplomacy, capped off weeks of a public feud between the two leaders.
What you're doing is very disrespectful to the country.
Zelensky and European allies uneasy that President Trump is inching closer toward Russian President Vladimir Putin, who started the full-scale invasion 3 years ago.
I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world.
The day started amicably, with Trump and Zelensky expected to sign a deal for Ukraine's rare earth minerals in exchange for U.S. support and long-term security.
We have something that is a very fair deal.
Really, I hope that this first document, will be a first step to real security guarantees for Ukraine.
Instead, it appears President Trump scrapping the plan for now, posting on social media, "I want peace." He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace. Not long after the president's post, Zelensky left the White House at his urging. And earlier this morning, a bipartisan group of senators, including Trump ally Lindsey Graham, met with Ukrainian President Zelensky. After that Oval Office blow-up, Graham said that Zelensky either needs to resign or change his tune if there is any hope of peace for the war-torn country. In Washington, Julie Sirkin, NBC News.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon.
Beautiful weather here in Central Texas today. Still is outside now in Marble Falls from the Highland Furniture and River City Grill camera, where we're at 79 and a cloudless sky for the most part, with the exception of just a few high thin clouds. Most of us still mid to upper 70s. Really nice beginning to your evening, and not a whole lot of cloud cover at all, with the exception of a wispy high cloud or two. That should continue here tonight. 68 at 7, 62 at 9, and 60 here at 11. It's actually kind of important that we've got a clear sky tonight, because there's going to be a rare showing of planets tonight. We'll talk about that in first warning weather, as well as a warm weekend that could be followed by some drizzle, showers, and thunderstorms.
Right, Nick, thank you very much. Well, turning now to a situation involving police in Cedar Park. Now, Cedar Park police say officers are working the scene of a reported bank robbery at the Chase Bank off of Cypress Creek Road. Police say because of a suspicious item, they're also evacuating nearby businesses and schools. About 30 minutes ago, police put Cedar Park Middle School and High School under lockdowns, but those have been lifted. We'll continue to follow this and bring you the latest over at KXAN.com. The Williamson County Sheriff's Office launched a homicide investigation in a quiet cul-de-sac this morning just outside of Georgetown city limits. This happened on Jennifer Circle. Investigators say deputies responded after a person told 911 they killed their roommate. The Sheriff's Office says one person is in custody, and the identities of those involved will not be released until next of kin is notified, and also until the suspect is booked into jail. This investigation is still considered active. Michael Wasick, the son of one of the co-founders of Buc-ee's, is now facing a felony possession of child pornography charge. Last year, we told you he was indicted on charges of secretly recording people with a hidden camera at a home. According to court records during that investigation, authorities seized some devices and also found numerous sexually explicit images of what appeared to be minors, including a girl aged 6 to 8 years old. According to Travis County jail records, Wasick is not currently in custody, nor has he been arrested. His other cases are currently pending in district courts. Delta Airlines is planning to launch its first international route from Austin in 14 years. Nonstop flights to Cancun will start on December 20th. The seasonal route will continue through mid-April of 2026, and flights will operate daily. Delta last offered a Cancun route back in 2011. Also at the airport, construction on a new parking garage is now underway. Today, officials broke ground on the upcoming Yellow Garage. Now, this project is part of the airport's broader multi-billion-dollar overhaul. The Yellow Garage will replace the existing Red Garage, which airport crews anticipate will be torn down in the next few years. And then that will clear the way for construction on a further expansion project.
It's not just about parking. It lays the foundation for the long-term vision that we really have at this airport, ensuring that we're a world-class gateway for Austin, Texas, and the capital city of the state of Texas.
Now, the multi-level Yellow Garage will include roughly 7,000 parking spaces and will feature intelligent parking systems to help you find a spot. It's going to be located north of the airport's Blue Garage. Well, we're just a day out from NASCAR race weekend over at the Circuit of the Americas, and some of the weekend's finest acts are making a splash ahead of their shows at the Coda Fan Zone. Check out Swifty, the swimming pig, seen here getting in some practice. Swifty is one of the stars of the sideshows at the races. There's going to be other pigs donning colorful vests they're going to take to attract all of their own for the weekend's swine races. But these little guys aren't the only ones getting to have some fun at the track. Race weekend will also feature kids' play areas, the Globe of Death, trapeze acts, and much, much more.
Swifty's a good swimmer, but also a really good jumper. That was impressive. February ended warm with a high of 78. March begins tomorrow. Meteorological spring begins tomorrow.
Well, turning now to the state capitol, where lawmakers considered a recently introduced bill aimed at addressing electricity planning and the cost of infrastructure for large electrical loads, which can put a strain on the power grid and lead to outages. This comes as a new report from ERCOT is raising some eyebrows. It shows unprecedented pressure on our state's power grid in the next few years and the potential for energy shortages. But KXAN's Avery Travis dug into these forecasts with a research scientist and joins us now to explain why these numbers are likely deceiving. Avery.
Daniel, thanks for having me. We took a look at what's called the Capacity, Demand, and Reserves Report. Now, this is something that ERCOT puts out regularly. It's a snapshot of what could happen in the future of the Texas power grid. And part of it showed demand could skyrocket from now until 2029, 7.5 times faster than that demand has grown in the past. I want to show you this graph. It was actually built not by ERCOT, but by UT research scientist Joshua Rhodes. He's been tracking ERCOT data over time, and he put this together to show just how stark this increase is. You can see the change where that CDR report marks its forecasts, and you see that sharp incline compared to prior years. He says in part because of population growth in Texas. We talk about this a lot. It translates to more people and businesses wanting to plug into the Texas power grid, but also in part, and maybe primarily, because of changes in how this forecast now works. For example, in 2023, Texas lawmakers passed a bill that in part requires ERCOT to consider what's called unsigned load in this forecast. That really just means every potential project in the works and anyone who is even just talking about connecting to our power grid.
Before, we wouldn't really count those loads until, they had gotten further in the process, put some skin in the game, put some money down. But now we're kind of counting everybody. And in this new world, in this race of AI, it's a lot of people who might want to get power, and it's driving up the numbers much faster than they have in the past.
The goal with the legislation, from our understanding, is to try and better keep up with demand and better plan for those large consumers Daniel mentioned. That's everything from data centers for artificial intelligence and cloud storage services to green hydrogen hubs and cryptocurrency mining operations. Rhodes says the positive of calculating the numbers this new way is it can help the state be more proactive in building out infrastructure to support a future surge in demand. It's, of course, something they're talking about again this session with the Senate bill Daniel mentioned. But the con, he says, is these eyebrow-raising numbers make it hard for policymakers and researchers like him to make heads or tails of what's going on and make accurate recommendations. Daniel, we reached out to the lawmaker who authored that House bill that we referenced for some context, and we'll let you know when we hear back from their office.
All right, Avery, thank you very much for that insight.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon.
Lovely weather here this afternoon, and that is now continuing into the evening. Mostly sunny skies, just a few high thin clouds from the Oasis restaurant looking out over Lake Travis that so desperately still needs more rain. And we're not forgetting about that, although at the same time enjoying the lovely weather we've got outside now. 76, low humidity. It's going to make for a very comfortable evening, although these numbers will fall eventually. Low 60s and upper 50s by 10 tonight. So if you got evening plans, it'll be comfortable the first few hours, and then it may turn a little cool overnight and into the first few hours of tomorrow morning. We expect you start your Saturday upper 40s and low 50s, but then Saturday afternoon low 80s. So even warmer tomorrow than it was today. Then we're in the 50s to start Sunday. Sunday afternoon, not quite as warm as Saturday, because we do expect an increase in clouds here Sunday afternoon. Not a whole lot of clouds statewide, except for this little patch of high clouds just south and southwest of Dallas right now. And other than a few stray high clouds overnight and into tomorrow morning, we expect to stay mostly clear. So a mostly sunny Saturday on the way. Really good looking start to your weekend. Then here come a few of the extra clouds around on Sunday. A patch early in the morning, then sunshine, and then a thicker round of clouds comes in Sunday afternoon. This may try to squeeze out a stray shower Sunday evening and night. You may have seen a blip of green show up here on the clouds and radar into the future. And then we also expect a cloudy and at times drizzly Monday, but not anything meaningful as far as rain goes anyway. So tonight we're down to 50, mostly clear skies. The sky cover is key because we've got a pretty rare planetary phenomenon happening here tonight. Tonight being the best viewing of it, although you may have been able to see it the last few nights. But you can see 7 planets in the night sky tonight, looking southeast to see Mars, south to see Jupiter and Uranus, and southwest to see Neptune, Saturn, Mercury, and Venus. Now, Uranus and Neptune, you may need a telescope to see. The rest you'll probably be able to see with your naked eye, and conditions look perfect for that. Just get away from the city lights. Then we've got NASCAR at COTA this weekend. Sunshine, low 80s Saturday. More of a mix of sun and clouds for the main race on Sunday afternoon, 78, and that tiny shower chance for the evening. There's your drizzle chances on Monday, and then the rain chances on Tuesday, mostly in the morning, but in the form of potentially some thunderstorms. Severe weather risk still looks like it's going to stay off to the northeast of us, although parts of Milam County may be clipped by a strong storm or two as this pulls out of here. Mostly it's just some showers and an isolated storm Tuesday morning. Tuesday afternoon, the sun comes out. It gets windy. That's going to increase our fire danger in a big way as a cold front drops us from 80 Tuesday to 71 on Wednesday. Low to mid 70s through the end of next week. Just a tiny rain chance on Friday.
Skype is officially signing off. Microsoft announced today the once very popular video calling program will shut down after 21 years. Skype was founded in the early 2000s and was picked up by Microsoft in 2011. Skype then lost steam in the 2010s and has fallen well behind competitors like Zoom and Google Meet. Microsoft is hoping to steer users to its Teams application as a replacement after they hang up on Skype for good on May 5th.